oppose Tony Abbott's racist anti-terror laws. Tony Abbott's whipping up racist hysteria against Muslims to distract from his federal budget.
This is a direct result of the racist hysteria being whipped up by the Abbott government, the Murdoch press and the Fairfax media. Say no to their racist anti-terror laws and condemn the Abbott government.
On the stage, but you know, work's only just gone out. It's a big weekend with Granny and stuff, but we won't be here any later than 7. Today's rally is about Melbourne's community standing up in solidarity with our Muslim brothers and sisters who have been under attack from Islamophobic media, from an Islamophobic government, and also from certain extreme sectors of Islamophobic members of Australia's community. So we wanted to show people that Melbourne doesn't accept that sort of behaviour. We're here to stand in solidarity with our Muslim community and to make sure that this Islamophobia doesn't get a grip, and also to show some solidarity. That's the main point.
In recent times in this country, we've seen a massive rise in Islamophobia. We've seen a massive rise in attacks on Muslims in our community. And we are here tonight to say that's not good enough. We are here tonight to say that Islamophobia and all forms of racism have no place in the Australian community, and particularly tonight in Melbourne's community. Can I get everyone who is here for tonight's speak out, whether you're on a stall or whether you are just here to enjoy the evening, an evening of solidarity, an evening of celebration of a long-standing history of Muslims in this country. They started trading with Indigenous people first, then the Cameleers came in 1860. The first mosque was built in 1888 in Adelaide, and people want to tell them to go back where they're from. Well, the simple fact is, Muslim people have nowhere to go back to, because Muslim people are and always will be Australian. Everyone knows that the Abbott government was always going to be a racist, Islamophobic one. You don't have to go back too far. Abbott was a minister in Howard's government. And the Howard government was the government that delivered us the Cronulla riots. The Howard government was the one that delivered us Islamophobia from their disgraceful Islamophobic mouthpieces like Alan Jones. And so it was, and then that Islamophobia was of course continued by the ALP and has been picked up with gusto by people like Christopher Pyne, Scott Morrison, and of course the desperately unpopular Tony Abbott. Can I get everyone who's here tonight in solidarity with Muslims to make some noise? Let's go! I think we can make a little bit more noise than that. Let's shout out to our Muslim brothers and sisters. Make some noise! Let's tell the Islamophobes they've got no place in our society. Let's tell the Islamophobes that they've got no place in Melbourne. Let's tell the Islamophobes that they're not welcome anymore. Let's tell the Islamophobes to leave. Can we please get an eye on this, please? Can we please get an eye on this, please? Now, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to confront this sort of stuff every day. And we've got to... Muslims are welcome, racists are not. Muslims are welcome, racists are not.
Muslims are welcome,
louder!
Racists are not. Muslims are welcome, racists are not. Muslims are welcome, racists are not. Muslims are welcome, racists are not.
All right, here we go. Can we please get this guy removed? This guy's hostile and aggressive. Can we get him removed from our rally, please?
It's very appropriate when we're marking the absolutely abominable rise in racism in this country that we start off by acknowledging the very racist roots of this country. Acknowledging that this is Aboriginal land. Acknowledging that this is the land of the Wiradjuri people of the Kulin Nations.
Always was!
That this history of racism is a long history in this country. That the First Nations of this country have experienced over 200 years of dispossession. And we're seeing the ongoing history of that racism here today. And I think it's no surprise that it's the exact same sort of racism that we're seeing against our Muslim brothers and sisters today, that our Aboriginal brothers and sisters have experienced for such a long time. So once again, I acknowledge that we are standing on the land of the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nations, and that sovereignty never ceded, and we paid tribute to their elders past and present. Thank you.
All right, here we go. This one's for the media. Everyone who's standing around that Islamophobic person there, turn your cameras on us. Enough of him. We've heard enough from Islamophobic people like him. We want the cameras on the people, the real Australians that stand up with Muslims. And this, look at this as an example. Look at the media. The media will not show the true face of Australia. The media want a dog whistle. The media want to tell us that we're Islamophobic. They want to put this guy on the news. They want to put him on the news. Put us on the news. Put all this on the news, Niall. Put it on the news, Niall. We know your names too, mate.
In the last couple of weeks, we have seen the press and the racist Liberal and Labor Party whip up hysteria around a so-called war on terror to make and to manufacture an enemy from within Australia. And we are here to call their bluff, to say these are all lies, that we stand up against apparent divisions in our society and call the real divisions are those that of the racists, of the Liberal Party and the Labor Party trying to promote fear and hatred in our society today.
While the attacks on Muslim women are cowardly, certainly. They're misogynist, definitely. But it goes a lot deeper than that. What this is about is that the powers that be know, they know Repression 101. And Repression 101 is when you go after a people, you go after its leaders. The powers that be understand perfectly well that women are leaders. Women are the bridges of our communities and our society. We're the builders. We're the glue. We're also the leaders in our struggles. We're seeing the buildup of a police state. And this is what this is about. They came after the unionists. They came after the bikies. They're coming after the Muslims. They're coming after all who resist.
Can we please get some people with some placards over behind Channel 7 so that when they go live, they've got all our beautiful words behind them? This is how we control the mainstream media. We just need 2 or 3. Get right behind him. His name's Dougal. I met him earlier. Dougal from Channel 7. What a great bloke, eh? Always telling us the truth.
Today I'm going to be presenting to you a spoken word I've written directed to the government, the police and to all the racist bigots out there. You want me to say I'm sorry? Well, I'm sorry that I come from a unified family, a family where both my mother and father are proud of me. I'm sorry that my parents encouraged me. They encouraged me to complete my law degree and give back to this society. You want me to say I'm sorry? Well, I'm sorry that my sister wears a burqa. She slowly lifts the flap and takes a bite of her burger, thinking she lives in a multicultural society who appreciates her decision to protect her modesty. But when she turns on the TV, she sees people like Jackie Lambie. You want me to say I'm sorry? Well, I'm sorry that my parents taught me. My parents taught me that when I felt I was in danger, I should call the police. I should trust the authorities. How can I trust people who point fingers at me, making me feel this was all one big conspiracy trying to alienate me? You want me to say I'm sorry? Well, I'm sorry that every time I step into the airport, all eyes are on me. I'm sorry that every time I take a flight, I get interrogated randomly. I'm sorry that I thought I could travel to and fro freely. You want me to say I'm sorry? Well, I'm sorry you think I am to blame. I'm sorry you think that me and my young Muslim friends at university are so angry, waiting for the moment to destroy all humanity. You want me to say I'm sorry? Well, I'm sorry that the worst part in this whole calamity is that you are the one that owes me an apology. Thank you.
Sensational. Coming up next, we've got another young woman from the Muslim community. Everyone make Samaya feel very welcome.
Hi everyone. So I wrote a letter to the AFP, Victoria Police and Media Watch in regards to a meeting that took place on Wednesday night with the Muslim community and the AFP and Vic Pol. And the meeting was about the death of Brother Numan Haider, and I wanted to share it today, the letter that I wrote, in the hopes that someone will come out and correct the facts and set the story straight. Dear AFP, Victoria Police, Media Watch, and all media consumers, I'm writing this letter to you in my pursuit for justice in light of the ruthless and predatory actions of the government, police, media tag team over the last few days. In particular, I seek redemption and the restoration of dignity to the loved ones of 18-year-old Abdul Numan Haider, who was terrorized and murdered by our police force. On Wednesday night, the Australian Federal Police, the Counter-Terrorism Joint Committee and Victoria Police initiated an emergency community consultation with the Muslim community. There, we were told that the incident which resulted in the tragic death of Numan was actually in no way related to the latest counter-terror expeditions. It was clarified that in actual fact, Numan's investigation was embryonic rather than part of a larger 3-month operation as was reported by the media. The reason for his investigation, or in fact organizing the meeting with him that eventually led to his unfortunate murder, was not connected to ISIL or otherwise connected to whether or not he carried ISIL flags, that there was no attempt to behead any police officers, and as per protocol, the incident is under investigation by Homicide Squad detectives on behalf of the coroner and overseen by Professional Standards Command's members. The police tried to reassure us that everything we had seen and heard in the media, terror suspect, jihadi, teen terrorist, was blatant untruth and ultimately shifted the blame to the merciless exploitation by the media of this unfortunate event. But sometimes saying sorry or that it wasn't our fault just doesn't cut it. The shoot to kill of Numan happened on Tuesday evening at 7:45 p.m. Where was the media interrogation of AFP Commissioner in the 24 hours between the murder and the community consultation? Why didn't the AFP or Victoria Police rally the media the same way they had done with the Sydney and Brisbane raids the week prior and clear the air on this sickening hype of terror suspicion? And why then did they only tell us? Why behind closed doors? Did they expect us to go back to the community wide-eyed and full of hope that this time they were on our side? That they weren't actually targeting us? That this time it was all the media's fault? The damage has been done. There is clearly disparity between what we were told on Wednesday night and what is being reported, so someone needs to take responsibility and clear the air. But let's be real. This is not about preventing violent radicalism or inciting public beheadings. This is not about protection or the threat to the survival of society. This is the politicization of scenes from everyday lives because their day-to-day living is securitized. This is the dominant narrative of governing modern society. Yet this is bigger still than exceptional politics and the permanent state of exception that we have been imprisoned by, that they have been living in, fearing in since 2001. It is the creation of an ontological insecurity, to keep the masses in order. This is the way they struggle to cope with uncertainty and insecurities. It is an operational mode of powerlessness and anxiety that permits them to be perceptive to the politics of risk and the politics of fear that this government relies on and depends on. This is the government police media tag team. Wake up, or at least be fair. Call them out on their conniving, manipulative self-entitlements. Stand with me and demand for an inquiry into the shameless, exploitative and selective reporting of the media. Take it a step further and expose the AFP and Victoria Police's leveraging of the media. Please. Actually, all I really want is for some peace and closure to the loved ones of Numan Haider, and for me and for my community. Thank you.
Another big round of applause for Samaya. You see, people say Tony Abbott's a leader, but if you want to look around Australia for leadership, I'm looking for Samaya. How's that for leadership? Courage and leadership. I want to pick up on 2 points that Samaya was talking about. The news reporters have already packed up and left. They don't want to see solidarity, and they don't want to see people like Samaya speaking. They don't want to show strong Muslim leaders. But there's another thing that was mentioned in that wonderful speech, which was that when this Islamophobe over here started attacking Muslim people in broad daylight, he was called upon by myself from this microphone to be taken away by the Victorian Police. And what did you do? What did you do? You stood there and you let him insult and abuse an entire section of our community. It is simply not good enough. And it's moments like that. It is moments like that where we really see which side the Victoria Police and the mainstream media's bread is buttered. That's when we see the truth of what's going on in this country. You stand back and you let bigotry reign supreme.
It's very important that the Aboriginal community and other communities of colour stand in solidarity with the Muslim and the Arab community who are under unprecedented attacks at the moment. It's just horrendous what we're seeing. I lived in Sydney I was living in Sydney after 9/11, and I was living out around Lakemba and areas like that, and I remember seeing the racism and the attacks and the fear in the community when I lived there. And what I'm seeing today actually is far in excess of what I saw 10 years ago. The amount of vilifying, the amount of Islamophobia, the amount of just hysteria that is going on, it is absolutely ridiculous, and it is something that we have to stand against, and it's something we have to say no to. And we can shame, yes, absolute shame. And we have complicity, not only from the police, but the media. The media has played an appalling role, as everybody has already pointed out. The media reports every little thing as if it's a fact, every little rumour, and it is creating a moral panic, and it's creating mass hysteria, and it is making it more and more difficult for the Muslim and the Arab communities, because basically they are the ones who are being terrorised. That's where terrorism today is. It is against the Muslim community. It is against the Arab communities. It is very, very important that we recognise that. And I also want to point out that what this escalation in Islamophobia has allowed Abbott to do is to pass the most draconian laws so far through the Senate. It needs to go to the House of Reps at the moment. But these laws escalate the amount of undermining of civil liberties that we have ever seen. Not only now will the secret police, the ASIO, will have the right basically to monitor the entire Australian web, the entire web. They have basically very little oversight in the amount of spying they can do. It undermines our civil liberties to be able to speak out and be free. We might see in the near future journalists and whistleblowers being jailed. This is what it is to live in Team Australia today.
We cannot accept the government's line that there is something different about Muslim people in their attempt to divide this successful resistance. What we need to do is stand in solidarity now more than ever, and we need to make that solidarity public. The protest that's happening on the 19th is just one in a number of ways that we can come out and stand in solidarity. To make this public is actually rejecting the government, trying to say that we should be apologetic, that we should go home, that we should feel isolated, and that we should ignore the fact that they are trying to ravage the lives of ordinary people.
But one of the reasons that I wanted to get up and speak today is because I can see horrifying parallels between the way that Muslims and Arabic people and non-white people are being dehumanised in the same way that the refugees
who try and flee war and persecution to safety, to come to our shores, to live in peace, are also dehumanised. And I really want to talk about how dehumanising I think the raids were in particular. I'm horrified, I'm so horrified, the outrageous and vicious raids on Muslims in Brisbane and Sydney. 800 police terrorising entire communities. One man in Brisbane severely beaten up by the police force, and only one very dubious charge. This charge was of a so-called plan to shock, horrify and terrify the community. But the only communities who are being terrified are Muslim communities, Arabic communities and other non-white communities. This is a terrible travesty, and we should all come out against this and in defence of our Muslim brothers and sisters.
Hello everybody. Walaikum salam. You can see, she says Salaam alaikum, which means peace be upon you. How could be a terrorist? We walk past anyone who's wearing hijab and we say peace be upon you, which means Salaam alaikum, which means peace be upon you. How could we be a terrorist? Who is the terrorist? The terrorist is the people who's going to fight in Iraq. In Iraq. My flag. All right? My city was just like this. I remember in Iraq, my city, I came here 2010, was just like this. We used to go outside, eat ice cream, stay till night, do whatever we want, and then all of a sudden, there is a terrorist. We can't say who they are because I will get arrested. So let's keep it a secret. You all know, all right? So you all know who is the terrorist, all right? It was just like this, and all of a sudden, there was airplanes, and let's not say who they are again, and they were bombing my city, and they bombed my favorite place where I used to eat ice cream in there. They bombed it, and that was a shock. They bombed my school, and they're gonna do it right again. No, who is the terrorist? No Muslims. No. If you actually go and do your research, you're gonna see the most persecuted people in the world are Muslims. Do you know who created ISIS? Let's not say it again. Let's not say it. I did it before and I got in trouble, so let's not say it. All right? Yeah. And by the way, do I look terrorist? We love Australia. We love Australia. To be honest, as an Iraqi, I used to have some bad feelings, and I'm not gonna say it about Australia because it invaded my country. Yeah, because it's invaded my country. It made me feel bad about Australia, but I still not hate it. For the second time, Australia is invading my country. For the second time, Australia is going to destroy my country. Not down there like a human beings, like people, like real men, but they're going to kill us from up there. You can see right now who is the terrorist. They're going to go up there and bomb innocent people.
We're told we should feel safe because they're going to send hundreds of more Australian Federal Police in all our airports. The same people who leave plastic explosives lying around for 3 weeks and then planted in random passengers' luggage. I'm sorry, but that doesn't actually make me feel safe. No Muslim has ever left plastic explosives in an Australian airport. No communist has, no Tamil has. No Aboriginal person has ever left plastic explosives in an Australian airport or planted it on a passenger. The Australian Federal Police have. Apparently it was an accident. That was the official story at least. And these people are meant to make us feel safe. I mean, quite frankly, I'm beginning to feel terrified. You know, suddenly we've got, oh my God, the Muslims are coming, and suddenly the government's polls start rising again. Like pure scapegoating. But there are other reasons to be fearful as well. I mean, and I think this is very important. I mean, and if anyone's walking past who's sort of thinking that, oh, you know, because you're not Muslim or not Tamil, not Aboriginal, you've got nothing to worry about. Well, I mean, if you allow a state to murder an 18-year-old in custody, if you have laws where people can just get taken away the middle of the night. If you have a situation where, you know, the police can arrest someone, there's secret, unaccountable secret police, secret trials with no evidence, but at the same time information gets given to a compliant media who just put these far-fetched stories about beheadings in central Sydney being planned or some other rubbish. They're just repeated uncritical by the media. In that kind of society, no one can be safe. Like, once it's the Muslims and the Aboriginals and the Tamils and it's a trade unionist, it's going to be all of us in the end. So anyone walking past thinking it won't affect you, bad news.
Big round of applause. We got 2 speakers left.
I think it's totally outrageous that in Australia today we can see that Muslim people are under attack everywhere. Women are having their hijabs pulled off, coffee thrown in people's faces, cars trying to run people over, and this is all a result of the racist politics of the Australian government. This is a total disgrace that the Australian government thinks they can use racism to divide people. They think that the Muslim community can be treated, can be screwed over, can be cast aside so that they can maintain their repulsive policies. This is not the first time we've seen this. We've seen governments all throughout the world. As a Jewish person whose father was a Holocaust survivor who emigrated to this country as a refugee after the Holocaust, I think we could all know something about the history of governments who whip up racism, who encourage racist pogroms, who let people be abused and assaulted in the street, who say to people that actually, for any racist out there, the government backs up and supports their ideas. This is outrageous. So I think it's great that we have people coming out today to take a stand against racism, to say we do not accept the government's repulsive rubbish. We see through the government's rhetoric. We see through what the media actually says. We know that actually we're here to stand in solidarity with all Muslim people, to take a stand against racism, whether it's our government trying to drum up support for their repulsive wars in the Middle East, whether it's our government supporting other governments like the Israeli governments that massacre Arab and Muslim people with impunity, or whether it's our government in Australia who might as well hug everyone who's a member of the Australian Defence League and tell them that they're right to hate Muslims and maybe they should go bash a couple of people up. Well, we're here to take a stand against all of that racist rubbish in Australian society.
That there is no threat whatsoever from terrorism in Australia. You know, when we leave this fantastic speak out, when we go back to our homes and our communities and our workplaces, we take the leaflets that people have handed out today, or we share the Facebook event for the rally on October the 19th. It isn't just about, you know, passing on the bare information about the protest. It's about looking people in the eye in your workplace, on the train station, you know, in your family, and saying, this is absurd, this is ridiculous. Don't listen to the hype, resist it, you know, look in your own experience. Aren't you an extremist? I'm an extremist. I bet everybody here is an extremist in the eyes of the government. Finally, I just want to again pay tribute to the brave Muslim women and men who have come out here tonight and who have spoken so incredibly movingly. I will never forget the poems, the speeches that we've heard tonight. You know, I'm humbled to speak in your presence and to see that, and that courage is inspirational to me, as I'm sure it is to everyone here, to go out and keep on fighting and keep on building this resistance to this evil, extremist, terrorist government. Thank you.
Muslims are welcome, racists are not! 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 Louder, let's go!